Talk to Fluency from beginner to fluent.
Take your English skills to the next level.
Welcome to the deep dive, everyone. I was recently thinking about personal transformation, like how some people just seem to completely overhaul their lives. They move from struggling, maybe feeling stuck, to confidently achieving their goals, while others, well, they feel like they're spinning their wheels.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What's their secret sauce? Especially, when you see someone go from really hesitant English speaking to, wow, real confidence.
It's such a common observation, and I've definitely felt that too. You see others making this remarkable progress, and you start asking, is it just luck? Or is there some, hidden strategy?
Exactly.
When I first started my own journey learning the language, I initially thought, if I just cram more words, fluency will magically appear.
Right, the dictionary approach.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But what quickly became clear was that it wasn't just about vocabulary or grammar rules. I mean, those are important, sure. But it was profoundly about building consistent habits, really shifting my mindset, and crucially, actually using what I learned.
Yeah.
In real conversations.
Okay, let's unpack this, because today we are diving deep into that very idea, this powerful truth that significant transformations, they rarely happen in one big leap. Instead, they're the result, the buildup of countless small intentional changes we make day in, day out.
Exactly.
And that's our mission today, exploring how to make those changes stick, especially when it comes to really mastering your English speaking skills. Get ready for some practical strategies and insights that might just surprise you, all designed to boost your confidence from the inside out. I can vividly recall my early days trying to learn a new language. It felt like this just insurmountable mountain.
Yeah.
So many words, confusing grammar rules. I remember thinking I'd need to swallow a dictionary just to form a sentence, let alone tackle something like, say, an IELTS speaking test with confidence.
Oh, absolutely. That feeling is so common.
But then, slowly, almost without noticing at first, things started to click. The real breakthrough wasn't some sudden download of knowledge. It was gradual, consistent, like building something brick by brick.
That experience resonates so deeply, and it highlights something really crucial. Becoming proficient, especially in speaking, isn't just about piling up grammar rules or a massive vocabulary list.
Right.
I mean, yes, those are the building blocks, the foundation, but the real engine of progress, that's building practical habits, cultivating a resilient mindset, and most importantly, actively using the language in real situations.
Actively using it.
Yes, that consistent, active application is what truly pushes you forward, not just passively soaking up information.
And it's a principle that applies way beyond language learning too, doesn't it?
Definitely.
Those big life-altering transformations, getting fit, learning a skill, becoming fluent, they don't happen overnight. There isn't usually one single huge decision that just flicks a switch. It's almost always about the small, consistent actions we commit to every single day. And over time, they compound into something pretty extraordinary. Now, here's where it gets really interesting, I think. If these small, consistent steps are so powerful, then why do so many people struggle to make those changes stick? Especially when the goal is something tangible like improving their English speaking. What genuinely holds us back?
That's an excellent question. And it really gets to the heart of, human behavior, doesn't it? There are several common obstacles, often quite subtle, that directly block our progress, particularly in language learning.
Like what?
Well, first, there's a pervasive fear of failure. We think, what if I try to speak English and I make a mistake? What if I sound foolish? Especially maybe in a higher stakes situation, like you mentioned, an IELTS speaking exam.
Yeah, that pressure.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Every successful person in any field has navigated countless failures. The real difference, they kept going. They saw mistakes not as stop signs, but as vital feedback.
I remember that feeling so clearly when I was learning. There were days I'd totally convinced myself, I'm just not good at this, especially after, a clumsy conversation attempt.
We've all been there.
But then it hit me. The only way forward, the only way to get better was to actually start practicing. Even if it meant stumbling a lot.
Precisely. And another big barrier is a lack of direction. People often feel they need this perfect, detailed plan before they can take any action.
Right. Analysis paralysis.
Exactly. For someone wanting to improve their English speaking, this might look like waiting for the ideal course, or the perfect tutor, or just the right moment to practice. Instead of just using what's available right now, this often goes hand in hand with negative self-talk. You know, those inner voices, I'll never be good at this, or I'm just not a language person.
Oh, yeah.
Those thoughts can completely sabotage progress before it even begins. They just erode your confidence. And finally, one of the biggest traps, waiting for motivation.
Ah, yes. I'll do it when I feel like it.
Right. We tell ourselves, I'll start practicing when I feel ready or inspired. But here's the kind of surprising secret. Motivation often comes after you start taking action, not always before. Action creates motivation.
That's a powerful point. Motivation follows action. So understanding these barriers, the fear of mistakes in speaking, waiting for perfection, that's really the critical first step, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Once you can actually see what's holding you back, then you can start working on dismantling those obstacles. Okay, so we've shed some light on these common traps. The next obvious question is, well, how do we actually start making these changes? How do we build that momentum? Have you heard of the 1% rule?
I have, yeah. It's a great concept.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
The idea is simple. Improve just 1% every day. Do that, and you'll be nearly 37 times better by the end of a year. Imagine applying that to your English communication skills.
I love the 1% rule because it perfectly shows the power of small incremental gains. It's like compound interest for your skills. These small, consistent efforts, they compound over time. Books like Atomic Habits explore this brilliantly. It's not just about hitting a goal. These tiny daily actions actually start to redefine who you believe you are, what you're capable of.
Wow.
And it's also key to remember, progress often comes before confidence. You don't wait until you feel confident to start speaking English more. You start speaking maybe imperfectly, and that action builds the confidence.
Right. And we're not talking about huge time-consuming tasks here. We mean very specific, actionable steps for improving your English. Like maybe practicing just a few new English phrases for 5 minutes every day. Or even just consciously catching yourself thinking negatively about your speaking and replacing it with something positive, an affirmation.
Small, manageable things.
Totally.
Yeah.
I actually know someone who made incredible progress towards fluency just by listening to podcasts in English every single day, consistently.
That's a great example.
They didn't start with some super intense study plan. It was just those small, consistent listening sessions, slowly but surely building their understanding, their ear for the language.
That's such an inspiring, real-world example. And it really drives home the idea that done is better than perfect.
Yes.
So many people delay starting because they're waiting for the perfect conditions, the perfect first sentence, especially when it comes to practicing speaking.
I can relate to that.
But really, imperfect action is always better than no action at all. It's far more effective to speak a few broken English sentences today and learn from it than to wait forever for that magical day you can speak flawlessly.
A day that might never come if you don't start.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? Think of one small thing, something you've been putting off. Maybe it's practicing a tricky English grammar point, or reviewing some IELTS vocabulary, or just trying to speak a few sentences out loud to yourself.
Just one thing.
And then here's the challenge. Just take that one small step today. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today. Because action, it generates momentum, and momentum is the fuel for confidence. Okay, so while consistent action is clearly crucial, there's something else, maybe even more fundamental. And that's our mindset, the way we think about change, about learning, about our own abilities, that truly makes all the difference, especially when you're trying to improve your English communication.
Absolutely. This brings us right to that key distinction Carol Dweck talks about, the growth mindset versus the fixed mindset.
Right.
If you cultivate a growth mindset, you basically believe, I can improve. You see challenges like difficult English pronunciation or complex grammar, not as brick walls, but as opportunities to learn, to get better.
Okay.
But if you operate with a fixed mindset, you might think, I'll never be good at speaking English, or I'm just not naturally talented with languages. That kind of thinking, it severely limits your potential before you even really try.
That distinction is so profound. It really shows how much our perception shapes our reality. I've been fascinated by how our brain focuses on what we tell it to focus on. Have you heard of the reticular activating system, the RAS?
Yes, the brain's filter system.
Exactly. It's like the gatekeeper for information. It's why when you learn a new English word, suddenly you start hearing it everywhere, right?
It happens all the time.
So if you keep telling yourself, I can't do this, my English isn't good enough, your RAS will actively look for and highlight all the evidence to prove you right.
It confirms your bias.
But If you intentionally shift that inner talk to something like, I am improving every day, I'm making progress with my English, your brain starts focusing on those things instead. It notices the small wins.
That's precisely why actively reprogramming your mind is such a powerful strategy.
Yeah.
And there are really effective ways to do this. 3 key ones are affirmations, visualization, and gratitude.
Okay, break those down.
So affirmations are about positive self-talk. Repeating phrases like, I am becoming a more confident English speaker every day. It gradually reshapes that internal narrative. Visualization is vividly imagining yourself succeeding.
Like picturing yourself nailing that presentation in English.
Exactly. Or smoothly handling a conversation during a trip. Your brain often can't tell the difference between vivid imagination and reality, so it starts building those neural pathways for success. And finally, gratitude.
Gratitude. How does that fit in?
Practicing gratitude, even for small wins like understanding a tricky idiom or finally using a grammar point, correctly trains your brain to spot progress. It fosters a more optimistic, resilient outlook towards your English learning.
And within that powerful mindset, I think we also need to embrace humility.
That's a great point.
Humility isn't weakness. It's the quiet strength that says, I'm still learning. I still need practice. It's vital for continuous improvement in English, even when you feel like you know something. That openness keeps you receptive.
Keeps the learning door open.
Exactly. To new accents, new phrases, constantly refining your speaking. Now, something I hear all the time is, I want to improve my English, I really do, but I just don't have the time.
The time crunch, it's real.
It is real for many.
Yeah.
But often the problem isn't purely the quantity of time. Sometimes it's how we spend it. Especially those evening hours.
The evenings.
There's that powerful saying, your 9 to 5 earns your living, but your 5 to 9 builds your future. Those evening hours, often overlooked, but that's where so much personal growth, like dedicated English practice, can really happen.
That quote is so insightful because our evenings are often, well, silent hijacked, aren't they?
Hijacked? How so?
By what I'd call engineered addiction. Think about social media feeds, endless streaming options.
Oh, yeah. The scroll hole.
Exactly. Every notification, every algorithm suggestion, every cliffhanger, it's all designed to keep you hooked. It prevents genuine rest or productive activities like that English practice you planned. We mistake passive consumption for relaxation, but our brains are still highly engaged, just not in a good way.
But here's the empowering part. If something can be designed to capture your time, it can also be redesigned to protect it.
Okay, I like the sound of that.
And redesigning doesn't mean turning into a monk. It starts with practical, almost sneaky tricks to reclaim those hours. One I love is naming your evening.
Naming it.
Yeah. Instead of vaguely saying, I'll just chill, try being specific. From 8 to 9, I'm focusing on my English speaking practice, or this hour is for reviewing vocabulary. Giving time a specific name and purpose, it instantly gives it more weight, helps you reclaim it.
That makes sense. And beyond just naming time, actively redesigning your physical space is incredibly powerful too. You know the saying, your environment speaking louder than your goals.
Right. If your phone is right there and your English book is hidden.
Exactly. If your English textbook is buried under papers while your phone charges right beside your sofa, your environment is nudging you towards distraction. Think about supermarkets. They put tempting things near the checkout because placement drives action.
So apply that at home.
Why not? Leave your English study stuff, flashcards, a novel, notes for your next IELTS practice session out in the open, on your sofa, your bedside table. Make it impossible to ignore.
Okay, I see. This ties perfectly into making good habits obvious and bad habits invisible. It's all about friction, right?
Precisely. Make bad habits harder. Add friction. Make good habits easier. Remove friction.
Like moving your phone charger to another room, so you actually have to get up to scroll.
Yes. And conversely, leave your English-speaking trumps or that grammar guide or an article you want to read in English open on your desk. When you sit down, the good habit is right there, waiting. The path of least resistance becomes the path of progress.
Yeah.
Your future self will thank you.
That's smart.
And once you've carved out that space, maybe even just a small pocket of time in your evening, don't just drift aimlessly afterwards. Create a closing ritual.
A closing ritual.
Yeah, a simple, peaceful sequence to end your day. Maybe listening to calming music for 10 minutes, or jotting down 3 things you learned in English that day, or just taking a moment to reflect. It gives your brain closure, makes it easier to properly rest and be ready for your English practice the next day. Less mental clutter.
Speaking of taking action and environments, have you ever noticed how much our surroundings shape us? Our habits, our decisions?
Hugely.
There's that famous saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And that principle, it's incredibly relevant when you're trying to consistently improve your English communication.
It's profoundly true. If your main circle is, well, negative or unmotivated, it becomes really hard to sustain your own drive.
Yeah, it drives you down.
But
Yeah.
if you actively surround yourself with positive, goal-focused people, their energy, their habits, it inevitably rubs off on you. For your English learning journey, this translates into some practical steps.
Okay, like what?
First, actively follow inspirational people or accounts. People sharing good English speaking tips, motivational stuff, maybe IELTS prep resources. Curate your feed. Second, join online learning communities for English learners.
Finding your tribe.
Exactly. These groups are invaluable for practicing speaking, sharing struggles, celebrating wins, finding accountability partners. That community support makes a huge difference. And third, consciously reduce your exposure to negativity, whether it's energy-draining people or just overwhelming news. Protect your mental space for learning.
This leads us nicely to the idea of discipline, which I think gets a bad rap sometimes. It's not about being super strict or punishing yourself.
No, not at all.
It's more accurately defined as keeping small promises to yourself.
Right. That's a great way to put it.
It could be as simple as committing, I will study English for 15 minutes today, or I will do one speaking exercise. Discipline is like a muscle.
It's stronger with use.
Exactly. The more you keep those small promises, the more self-respect you build, and the stronger your confidence in your English speaking ability becomes.
And to really make those small promises stick, understanding the habit loop is super helpful. Cue, routine, reward.
Right, the trigger, the action, the payoff.
Precisely. You can actually engineer new habits using this. The cue might be finishing your morning coffee. The routine is your 10 minutes of English vocabulary review or a quick speaking drill. The reward, that feeling of progress, checking it off your list, maybe even a small treat. By consciously designing these loops, you gain control.
That makes sense. You're hacking your own behavior.
You are. And this whole process also builds resilience, that crucial ability to bounce back when things get tough.
Like when you mess up during a conversation in English?
Exactly. Or you don't understand something. Resilience means you don't just give up. You see it as feedback, you learn from the mistake, maybe you laugh about it, and you keep going. You return to the practice.
And what's really essential here, I think, is remembering that consistency matters far more than intensity.
Oh, absolutely critical.
It is so much better to do just 2 minutes of focused English practice every single day than to try and cram an intense hour once a week and then burn out and quit.
That small daily effort builds unstoppable momentum.
And finally, when you're building discipline, it's also about focusing, choosing what truly matters. Instead of trying to learn guitar, run a marathon, cook gourmet meals, and become fluent in English all at once.
Spreading yourself too thin.
Right. Maybe choose fewer, more impactful goals for a period. Like this quarter, I'm focusing on my English speaking and my health. That ensures you can actually be consistent. Wow, that was such an insightful conversation. Really covered a lot of ground.
It was great.
So what does this all mean for you, our listener? Well, it means you have significantly more control over your English journey than you might have ever thought possible. This deep dive really showed us that those big shifts, like becoming a confident, fluent English speaker, they don't just happen by magic. They're built.
Day by day.
Exactly. Through that combination of small, consistent actions, getting your mindset right, that growth mindset, and carefully designing a supportive environment around you. Those things working together, they have the power to completely transform your language skills. And honestly, probably other parts of your life too.
Indeed. Maybe a final thought to leave you with. Real discipline isn't about never failing or never stumbling. It's about always returning to your practice.
Always coming back.
Think of discipline as love in action. It's you showing up for yourself day after day, honoring those small promises, even in the tiniest ways, because you value your goal.
That's incredibly powerful. Discipline is love in action. Okay, so let's bring it back to that challenge one last time. Think of just one thing, one small action you've been postponing related to your English.
Could be anything.
Practicing a conversational phrase, reviewing vocabulary for an upcoming IELTS test, just trying to speak a few sentences out loud. Don't wait. Take that single small step today.
Not tomorrow, today.
Because action builds momentum. And momentum, that fuels real, lasting confidence.
We'd genuinely love to hear from you, actually.
Yep.
What's one small change you're committing to today in your English learning journey? Let us know.
Until next time, take care, and we'll see you later in Talk to Fluency YouTube channel.
Talk to Fluency from beginner to fluent.
Take your English skills to the next level.